I'm going to spend some time where flooding. This building is facing some water damage. Hey guys, Wheatywaffle here today, and we are back in City Skylines 2, playing our city of Lethe. And in between parts, I made a quick little change to our train line. I ended up raising the train so that it was pretty much level all the way across. Before, it was coming down, going level crossing across the street, then rising back up to go over the highway. So I thought it made a little bit more sense just to keep this section here elevated. Really no other changes there to the train line. I did make a few small changes in our new area that we expanded out to, including having a new bridge here, aligning this Central Road Maple Street with the main section of our downtown we have built so far, and then just did a little bit of moving around of our districts here. I also got rid of this 4th district and just combine that into Boulder Hill, which I felt like made a little bit more sense. So what I want to focus on here today is really two things. First, I want to focus on getting our college built. And second, I want to start zoning out all of the new areas we have in Ortega, Alexandria, and Denny Ridge. The first thing we're going to do is focus on this college. So as of right now, I was thinking that our college would go right over here in this Pinewood Acres area and really absorb a little bit of this farmland. Let's get a sense of what the resource looks like here. Okay, so we do still have some natural resource right over here next to Lake Street. So what I think we do is we take one of our points here. How much does this cost? 43,000. It only costs 11,000 a month. Let's go ahead and purchase this extra tile. All right, so now that we have this tile here, we can build out a new industrial area. Let's do the specialized industry. We're still going to do our grain farming here, or excuse me, our cotton farming. So we're going to just go ahead and give it a really simple rectangle. We're not going to do anything too extravagant. I'm going to purposefully leave some space in between our road and our field. I'll go back in and add some trees to that in a minute. And then what I want to do here is, for the moment, we're just going to move these zones back. I'm going to take this, back it up a little bit. We'll still keep it along this edge. I anticipate this entire section here eventually becoming our college. We can build some fields out, we can build out some residential, but this is going to become a pretty robust college area. Let's get a sense of what the college actually looks like here. We've got a college and we have a modern community college. So the college, first step towards higher education for teens and adults alike, provides the 3rd level of education, can be upgraded with an extension wing and a library, supports 10,000 students. And then we have a modern community college, the first step towards higher ed, blah, 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 has an extension wing and a dormitory and a sports field. Now this one can only support 5,000 students. In terms of price, the college is, I think, a better option because the upkeep here is 40,000 for the modern community college, and the upkeep for a regular college is 75,000, which is slightly less than this upkeep if we're really just going to double the price and capacity. So I think let's just build a regular college. Now it does take up a significant amount of space, but what I think I would like to do is have the gardens face out this direction towards the city. So I'm going to have it placed facing this direction. I think I'm happy with that. And then we would be able to do our expansions into this section. While I say that, let's, for the sake of just double checking we like this idea before we build. Yeah, this building just doesn't feel as grand to me, and I want this to feel impressive. All right, we've not unlocked universities yet, so none of that is of importance. Let's go ahead and place a road in here. We're just going to take a road and go kind of straight on through, like so. And then I do want to have a nice, maybe medium-sized roundabout here. I think large might be too big. Yeah, I think large is too big. Let's do a medium-sized roundabout right here, just to kind of filter people in and around that are going towards our college. And then let's build out our first higher ed building. Now, is this land flat? Pretty much flat. It'll work for me. We will place it, I think, actually right here. Happy with that. Then you can come back in here into the gardens. Yeah, there's a road, but there's also a pond, and you can see the city and all of that. I think that's great. All right, so now we have a college which currently has 15 students. We can't afford either of the expansions. What was the number of eligible students? 883. Now this can hold 10,000, which is a lot. I don't think I can change just the budget for the college itself. So what we should do while we have this college here and while we're still somewhat making money, let's go ahead and let this start to run. And in the meantime, we can begin zoning out this new area. I extended the train line from our Boulder Hill train station up this hill. I did a constant slope here. It does cut off these two neighborhoods from one another, which is why we've got 3 connections kind of fanning across each of those. Let's just start get zoning in here. We already know what the different districts are. We're really seeing some height right here, and I would like to bring that immediately over to the other side. This here is our main avenue into this area, so I'd say let's go ahead and start by putting a high density commercial building right here on this corner. And maybe we mirror these 2 sides with high density buildings as well. Now that might take a hit to the commercial demand that we have. I also could see some value in really laying out some high density residential. Before we do, can I sneak a path directly underneath that bridge without anarchy? I can. So we're going to do that. We're going to place a path there. And then let's not snap to the side of the building, but let's also place a path here. It's going to limit the zoning we place there. I'm fine with that. On this side, I think we do the same. But we get another building kind of snuck right in here. Let's do this. Let's make both of these sections here high density residential. We could also make some buildings along this edge to be the low rent because they're right up against a train line. This land is a little bit hilly, but I think if I were to take maybe 3 back. Yeah, let's do 3 back, and we'll do that along there. We'll also do maybe a few UK. Is this just regular UK high density? Oh, it is. No, I want a more low rent. For now, we'll leave just this little section here and see what happens. I also think we'll do this section as well, just because it's going to be surrounded by a lot of development. Wow, already getting a tall building here. I love it. All right, we do also need some medium density, and we still have some demand for commercial, although it looks like it is fading quickly. Let's fill in those 2 sections there, get ourselves some of that additional demand, and then over in this area, maybe we begin to think about some parks. We start to, or some offices. We start to go downhill some. Actually, you know what? I think offices could look nice on either side of this train line. I'm thinking maybe this section here is filled with offices. They're going to slowly work their way up this side of the hill, and we'll bring offices all the way really along this whole piece. I don't see why not. The back of the offices is to the train station. This side can stay a bit more residential. Let's try to work on some of our heights here. So we did some high density. Let's shift over into medium density. I think all of this can have medium density. This right here would look great as row homes, although that has completely tanked the desire for medium density, which is fine. Along this main road here, I think we do either mixed use or we do exclusively office business. Actually, let's do this. Let's make that commercial. I wish it would go a little bit further back. And then let's also make this entire stretch commercial as well. Now we're going to overzone by a ton. There's not going to be nearly as much demand for what we are zoning out, and that is okay with me. Let's also place a set of zoning there, and I think we're going to even extend this pathway in between the 2. Maybe that area there could be a park. That's a beautiful building. Fantastic. And then I think when we come over here into Alexandria, this is all going to become, at the moment at least, some row homes. We're going to do 4 back, I think, really all the way up. I don't see why we wouldn't. We'll do row homes here. Do I want row homes in this section? The problem is row homes I don't think work really well around these roundabouts, so I might actually just turn that into trees or something and just leave it somewhat open. Let's do 4 back row homes all along here, as well as 4 back row homes all along here as well. New milestone, level 10. We are a small city. Great work. This is a major step forward. You are 1 step closer to greatness. $250,000 cash infusion, which we all know we needed, so thank God. And we got some more progression points and land permits. Okay, great. Ooh, and we got a mansion. Not a mansion. We got a unique building. Once an imposing bank, this building now houses a lending company in software and media publishing. Hold on. What does it look like? It's an office. Ooh. Now, it's one of the European-style offices, so it's going to have to be placed in the right section. But since it doesn't cost us anything to build it, I mean, I could see some value in having this building here. I mean, what if we placed it right here along Walnut Street? And I do want to, I mean, it's a unique building, so it needs a little bit of extra love. What if we just extended out this pavement here, just to the side of the road? I think that'll look nice. But now with this here, we can then zone in the neighboring section right up against the edge. Oh, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I would want to keep it... Oh, we unlocked high-density offices. Do we do it? Do we just make this section a little bit of an office street? I think we do. I don't see why we wouldn't. Make that office, and then make this some little commercial. Can anything zone there? I don't think anything's facing this direction, so maybe we'll forego that. All right, there we go. Now, some of this is going to need a little bit of extra something. And honestly, as I'm looking at it, I already see something I want to change. I'm going to remove this path. And instead of it being a pathway, we're going to do a one-way alleyway straight underneath and behind these buildings. And the reason for that is it's going to allow me to zone in some of these smaller sections. So let's do this. Let's grab our pathway. We don't need to destroy that building. I just want to kind of force... Oh, awkward. Turn that back off. I just want to force that zoning inwards a bit, and it didn't stay, which is fine. Let's turn on, stick to the end of a building, and just place it a little bit so that we can do our zoning. Perfect. Back here, maybe we will do another office building right here. And then on this side, I actually wouldn't mind having a small little parking lot of some kind. Now, if we wanted to do one of these, oh, it's far too big. These guys here, they face the wrong direction. How many tiles back does this go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think I could sneak this in here without destroying something, which I don't want to do. Yeah, I don't want to destroy anything for that. Can we just do like a regular parking lot then? That one's too small or too big. That one's too big. Oh my god, they're all too big. Is there really any room for anything? I don't know if there is. If I anarchy this parking lot in here, what do we get? Just a small little guy, nothing crazy. I'm fine with that. Once we place some trees and things in here as well, that's going to be super helpful. We are seeing a huge issue with our ambulances. So it might be imperative for us to build out a new ambulance network. We have some coverage here in the center of the city, but now that we're really expanding over, let's look at our options. We've got a small medical clinic, a medical clinic, and a modern medical clinic. The medical clinic has the largest capacity. If we go down here to these practices, these actually have a little bit more capacity. The French medical clinic has decent capacity. Turn off anarchy. Hold on, don't want to leave that on. Although I don't know if I like this building. It's a little strange to like be in this section. Do we want to consider looking at... I want healthcare. Let's go ahead and unlock the hospitals. Let's get a sense of what those cost. They're probably well above what we can afford. Oh yeah, I can't even look at them. 1.8, 1.1, 1.2, 1.2. 1.8. Okay, we're not yet in a place for hospitals. So for now, let's build another medical clinic. I think we'll just do a regular medical clinic in here. We'll place it over in Alexandria. Maybe here at the top of this hill. Little bit of wonkiness there, but that's okay. And now that our demand has somewhat recovered, let's go ahead and finish filling in this section with some more medium density row homes. We'll place some more there. In this section, what I'd like to try to do is do maybe 4 back In the neighboring area, we also do 4 back. And then we do the same thing here along these edges. It's going to tank any demand that we did have for this, which is fine. We'll do just like some different 4 and 5s back right along there. We'll do the same thing here. You know what? This isn't working because these face this way. Well, in that case, just go for it. Give them some larger houses. That's fine. Fill it all in. You know what? Let it do it naturally. No point in me being that nitpicky. I already don't like what I'm seeing here. Okay, we're going to actually unzone this. Sorry, guys. It just is not going to work. We got to think of a different way to incorporate this. When they're along these roads, that looks okay. So maybe what we need to do is limit this with some key walls along both sides. We can still do this type of build, but once we place them facing the side roads, we kind of disguise the displacement that we've done with the road, or with the ground, which I think works a lot better. Behind here, why don't we do a road with parking on it? Let's do an alley with parking. I would want it to be an angled parking alley. Does it connect all the way through? I think it does. Connect it all the way through. People can park along there. Can we do it on both sides? There we go. If we make it one way, maybe we make it one way going this direction. We make it one way, we're able to really fit some of those parking lots in there, and I think it disguises the clipping that we have with these medium density buildings, which is great. We are seeing a ton of traffic, I think, along the highway and into the entrances of our city. That's just because people are moving in, so that's going to adjust itself, I think, with time. So we just got to be patient. That will change. Over in this area, we still have an open spot here as well as this section. So I'd say let's just fill in. If we check our people, let's just fill in some more business and offices to help with this unemployment rate. And then we'll see what happens. We could do a little bit of mixed zoning right here. I think I would be fine with that. And then I think in this section, I would want to be a bit more intentional before doing any mixed zoning. We'll do one more building here next to this building. Just kind of helps fill in that area. And then I do think we need a building neighboring this unique building. So let's do one more of these guys right here. Let's undo all of this build from last time. Let's look here at our streets. Let's get our topography going, and let's upgrade this road into a regular road. Regular 2-lane road. Can we go underneath? We cannot, but we can go to here. We could also just connect right in and give another connection, which I could see that becoming valuable. So I think we do it. Let's also get rid of this roundabout here. This made sense when I thought this might be a bit more residential, but as we're building in this area, I think it's going to make more sense for this to be commercial. And I would like to maybe focus on that a little bit more. If we were to, first of all, just fix this section because there was a little bit of a curve on that road. Set that at the 180. Set this at a 180. We now have some nicer blocks there. We'll leave that exposed for now as we figure out what to do, but then in the meantime, we can fill this in with a little bit more commercial and residential. We've started to go downhill some. I wasn't going to do more mixed use, but I think this addresses like 2 of our problems at the same time. And I think that's valuable. Let's do a little bit more mixed use there. Can we sneak in maybe like a French building back there? Something a little different. And then maybe we also get in here with, are there differences in our EU high density? There is a little bit of difference in high density commercial. Let's place some high density European commercial right along Victoria Street. And then I think, and this is going to be expensive, but I think I want to do it. I would like to have a full-on parking garage, multi-level parking garage. Now we have 2 options. We have the multi-level parking building, large parking building, multiple levels, upgraded with additional levels, $200,000, $28,000 a month upkeep. This one is slightly lower in upkeep, the overground parking building. This is $150,000 to build, so not really a ton of savings up front, but it has a slightly lower monthly upkeep. I do think this can be upgraded with a car wash. This can be upgraded with additional levels. I think that would be more valuable. Oh my god, it fits perfectly. Being able to have more levels is going to be what we want. So I think this right here becomes a parking lot. What does it cost to do additional levels? Just do it. Give it more levels. Why not? It also just kind of fills in that section pretty nicely. This is an interesting moment here with this curved building, kind of changing the direction. Don't hate it. Let's take a moment now, and while some of this is still zoning in, we can even slow down time a little bit. I want to just stick some trees kind of throughout and fill in some of this area. Okay, I went ahead and just put in a little bit of tree coverage here. You'll notice this area around our highway interchanges with all of our bridges has some new tree coverage. Little bit of tree coverage throughout most of this area. I did fix this surface a few times, and each time it deleted the building that was already there. Let's see if we can do this without deleting anything. If I were to bring this straight along, can I just place a new surface here? There we go. It's not perfect. It's a different color, but whatever. And then I think I might even do the same along here. Let's just place a new surface right there, just giving it a little bit more concrete coverage. All of this is doing pretty good. I did a little bit of coverage throughout here, and then really just focused a lot of my attention along this train line here behind Alexandria. Now, before we do anything else, I think this backside of Denny's Ridge needs a little bit more work. So why don't we do this? Let's do another parking-based alleyway behind here. I think it could be, I don't know if I want one way. I think I definitely would want it to be two-way for sure. And I want it to stick behind these buildings as much as possible. So if we do that, I think we just bring it all the way up, to be honest. Let's rebuild this. Let's do it like this. If I just took this right along here and went straight on through, I'm fine with that. This could even technically cross underneath. I don't really know why we would need it to do that, but it could. And then what we do is we take this road a little bit further out. Can we roundabout this underneath of this bridge? Does that stop, cause any issues? No, not really. Looks a little strange though. What if we do a smaller one? There we go. We have a small little roundabout back there. I think we would want to come in and just do a little bit of surface work. Let's grab this color. Perfect. This front area has a little yard. That's fine. But now we've got a place for people to park, which is great. Right here in this corner, I think we should consider doing some more services. There's not much service over in this area at all. But before we do that, let's shift over to doing a little bit more medium density housing. We already know this particular area is a bit too hilly for that. And honestly, the more I look at this building, the less I like this here. So I think we might want to consider moving this clinic. Let's move it over to Denny's Ridge for now. Let's just see what happens. If we were to move the clinic maybe here along Pearl Street, I think that just fits much nicer. Unfortunately, it's further away from the bulk of the residential, but at the same token, there's not much we can do there. This is a pretty hilly spot, which I think just makes this a little bit more challenging. These guys here could definitely have some more small row homes. I think that's fine. This is getting a little bit flatter. I think we could entertain maybe just like some 3-back row homes. Nothing super deep, but just a little bit. It does still give us that hill, but what we could think about is carving out this little section. I know we wanted to work on the other area, but hold on, I've got an idea. What if we carve out this area? It's gonna give us the weird shadows. I do need to work on a fix for that, but let's reduce this brush size to like 40%. And let's come in here, and this area will just be lowered down. I don't hate that at all. I'm a fan. Big fan. All right, hold on. Does the 2-lane road come up and in? I think it does. I think we also bring in an alleyway right along the back. I think for the moment, we limit zoning along this road. We do another row of 3 deep row houses. Yep, yep. Grab another alleyway. Up and over just like so. Do we keep that little nub? Why not? Let's do it. Let's get rid of this section though. We don't need that. Right here, 3 deep, 2 deep. Let's limit zoning along this road. So we're forcing these people over to here. Go 3 deep there as well. That's perfect. All right, this is definitely getting some quick tree work just so that it looks as amazing as it is. Now we've got another little section there like that. I'm also tempted to maybe do the same thing here with this segment. Let's give it a shot. Let's do this. Let's turn Briar Rose into a regular road. It's no longer an alleyway road. Bit of a close intersection here, and since Maple Street is a main road, why don't we turn this into a one-way no, we don't do one-way. Let's turn this into a pedestrian road. Yeah, we're gonna turn that into a pedestrian road. Now, let's do the same thing we did over there. Put key walls all along this section, forcing all the zoning onto Woodland Street. Grab our leveling tool, grab this height right here in the middle, and let's do the same thing we just did up top. Because honestly, this is what's going to happen. Like, as you develop, we're going to build up. I like that. I like that. Yeah, yeah. They're kind of becoming like little micro neighborhoods, which I'm a huge fan of. I think those are kind of fun little terraced neighborhoods. Very nice. Okay. So now we've got some more building out there. I think what we need to do next is think about our services and how we're going to feed this area. Because really, Denny's Ridge, Alexandria is basically filled. There's nothing left in Alexandria. Denny's Ridge is getting filled out. I think I also need to consider building our highway interchange today. So first step here would be looking at services. Our money seems to be in a decent place. So let's go first check on our electricity and our water. We'll have to come back to both of those. They're going to need some adjustments. Clinic-wise, we do have a clinic over here. We're going to leave it alone for now. Need to maybe consider doing an overhaul to our healthcare and death care systems, but we'll pause on that. No one seems to be complaining about trash piling up, even though there's no landfill room available. The incinerator is $1 million. I think we're going to wait and get that, because if I can get an incinerator, then I'll also be able to produce more power, which is going to help out with all of the needs of the city. But before we get that, let's look at the rest of this stuff here. So, elementary school, we don't have one for either of these areas. I think we don't want to do a city elementary school, and we want to find a place to stick it that's going to help most of the people living in this area. This is the bulk of our community. Now, this building here is rebuilding itself. It's going to ruin some of the buildings around it, so we could place it there, or we could consider placing it here. It's a bit of a hill, but I actually think that would be okay. Let's place this here. Let's select the operating districts as being Denny's Ridge and Alexandria for now. We might need to come back and make some changes later. We could also consider giving this the courtyard upgrade just because we are in a little bit of a city area. We're going to need some additional amenities. And then we're going to want to look into a high school. So we could think about maybe doing a modern high school. This costs $200,000. The city high school costs $300,000. I think we do a modern high school over here. Now the question is where though, because this area is pretty packed. It wouldn't fit there. We could consider replacing this block of Anchor Street with our high school. If we removed all these homes, sorry everyone, this is for the betterment of everyone who lives here. I guess technically you no longer live here, so that kind of sucks for you guys, but I promise it's worth it. And we could then, to the modern high school, add in some additional buildings as we need them. This increases the student capacity. It's the additional teaching building. This is the student dormitories, adds extra capacity to the high school. And this is the mindfulness rooms. Mindfulness exercises can help students regulate emotional stress after a heavy course load, improves health and well-being of students. For $1,000 upkeep a month, I think that's a no-brainer. You know what? I'm even realizing this road leads to nowhere, so the high school could presumably take over this back half and we would remove these houses here in the future. For now, let's set the high school to function in these 3 districts. Our other high school right here functions in all of these districts and is at capacity, essentially. Can we give this an expansion? 100%. Give that an expansion. It's going to go a long way. I think we also should consider having this function in Wilmar as well, just because it's right over the bend here. Does Boulder Hill have a high school? No, it only has an elementary school, so we should also consider doing that as well. Okay, we've got education in a decent spot. Okay, so first things first is fire. So if we scroll out here, we can see that we only have 1 fire station for the entire city, which seems to be working relatively okay. Obviously the outskirts are beginning to struggle some, but there's one section here that's starting to see a lot of development, this area of Denny's Ridge and Warehouse Bend, that does not have any fire coverage. That's really for 2 reasons. One, I don't believe you're allowed to turn out of this road, which was a way of me trying to solve some of our traffic issues, and because of that, plus all the traffic here, I think this area is really struggling with fire protection, which is ironic because it's the industrial sector mainly, and it desperately needs fire coverage. So why don't we figure out what we want to do? We could do the firehouse, which has 4 engines. We could do the city firehouse, which has 6 engines. Or we could do the community firehouse, which has 3. Of the 3 of these here, between the community firehouse and the city firehouse, I'm not really interested in in the community because it has less engines for the same price. And the upkeep is, the upkeep is actually cheaper. I think the city firehouse would be nice because we're starting to get some seriously high density buildings here. So having something that would be able to respond quickly would be, I think, very valuable to this area. I know we just built most of this, but I also wouldn't mind kind of knocking something down and tucking this somewhere in the middle. If we were to place it maybe right here on this corner, what do we prefer? Do I like it here or do we like it along this road? I think I like it along this road. It's going to remove that one building, which ends up just giving us an open space there, but I'm fine with that. It puts it along a major thoroughfare, the Maple Street, so I think it can address any fire issues kind of over in this sector much faster. Then when we come over here to police, we have 1 police station right now. Crime success rate's at 42.9%. And honestly, the average crime probability right now is only 1%, with 1 person sentenced to prison and 0 people or 1 criminal in jail. I don't think we need to do anything else with police at the moment. I'm fine with it. I would like to think about an administration building. The welfare office helps the less fortunate by increasing well-being in the surrounding neighborhoods. And the Citizen Service Center provides welfare for citizens, employment guidance, and conducts various businesses for the public. I think I want to have the Citizen Service Center, and because of how much hill is over here and just how much we're fighting with the hills, and because of how low density this area is looking, I feel like I want to stick this kind of right in here somewhere. I think of all of them, I like this kind of block here the most. We would lose a little bit of business here, not a big deal, and a very small section of residential. But I say, why don't we come in here, remove these buildings. Let me just confirm there's no bus routes on this road. There is not. We should probably give them a check too and just see how is all that going. Let's get rid of all these homes. We've now cleared out this little block. Let's look at getting in the Citizen Service Center. Now, we could place it right along the road, but we've got some room to back it up a little bit. So why don't we give that a shot? Let's take a road here. Let's go forward 2 blocks. Give it a turn. Let's go forward turn everything off but angle. 2 blocks and give that a turn. And then let's just connect these right into one another. And then I'm actually going to upgrade this so that it is a one-way... You know what? So it's a one-way pedestrian road. This is the Citizen Center. Citizens are walking here. It's not going to be built around cars. Oh, but it does require a connection there. I really thought I was onto something. Okay, you know what? We're just going to get rid of this entirely. It's a little bit more expensive to just move things around like this, but do it this way. Stick it right up against the road. It looks pretty nice. What are the upgrades? Oh, there are no upgrades. Oh, fine with me. All right, so we now have this here. I'll come back in later and give that some trees around it, but I think that's a good use of that space just so that we're supporting our citizens and hopefully starting to increase some of the wealth of our neighborhoods, which would be super valuable. We'll look into our transportation mainly in the next part. The one thing about transportation I would like to do is build out a taxi depot. A garage and repair workshop for taxis also houses a small dispatch office and can be upgraded with an extra garage, a dispatch center, and electric taxis. It costs $100,000 to build this. Right now, this is mainly commercial, mainly offices. So I think I could get into having this taxi depot in this area. If we place this here, I don't really want a garage extension, but I would like to have this, a dispatch center add-on. What this does is it allows the taxis to pick up passengers from all over the city, not just dedicated taxi stands. But with that, we should also consider placing some taxi stands. So I'm going to place a sheltered taxi stand over here near our train station. We'll do one over here near this other train station as well, so you can get off the train and you can hop on that taxi. Over here we have our college right in this area. So I'm going to place a taxi stand kind of near the end of that street. Over here we have a high school, an abandoned bus network. We also have this city services building we just built. So let's place a taxi stand kind of in between those. In this area, we've got a elementary school here as well as our church. This is a bit cheaty, but I did delete the old church and place a new one just because you can't empty this building once it's filled. So I might do that a few times just to keep people moving in there. This is also, I believe, a unique building there. So why don't we share this area with the buses and we'll place a taxi depot there. Over here we have our high school, our parking garage. We also have a park. So I think we'll do the same thing in this area. We'll place a taxi depot along the same route as our bus route. And then here is kind of our main downtown area. It's how it's starting to form up. So why don't we place a taxi stand across the street from these buses near this elementary school, Okay, and then I think we might place one more here in the center across from this elementary school so that we've filled in portions of that area as well. And then I think we'll do maybe one more right along here. So now we've got a few taxi cabs running around doing their thing. I think the next step here is now that we've dealt with some of our services, we could look at doing maybe an additional park. And I think before we do that, let's grab the... Oh, we already have large parks. Let's grab the large sports complex as well. I want to place a few parks down, and then we are going to finish out today's episode with building out a highway connection off of Aspen Highway for this area of our city. So I would like to have a park that services most of this Alexandria area. We have this one little piece of land that is undeveloped and is relatively flat. So if we go to our large parks, we have a large playground, which could go in here, just something. We have a passage park, a little bit too big. Hedge park, a little bit too big. Large city park. Really, most of these are too big. Wow, that's huge. So those won't work. We could do some sports fields, but I think all of these are going to be a little bit too large. What about if we were to come over here and do a small plaza? Would this work? Almost. It's saying it's going to intersect, which I can see where the intersection is. It would fit perfectly right here, even though this area was going to be developed as a bit more of a somewhat industrial, somewhat office area, Ortega. So we couldn't place it here and help this area, but that doesn't really solve the issue we're having with all the people who live in this section of our city. So what if we consider, let's look at this from kind of every angle here. If we were to place this in the middle, it would be fine, but it wouldn't be great. If we were to do like a covered canopy park, this would nearly cut through some of these blocks and potentially give us some decent coverage. Is there a way to place this somewhere where we wouldn't interfere with a ton of housing? Not really. All right, hold on. Let's get creative here. An urban pocket park we could also place maybe in here. We could probably place this in here and only ruin 1 or 2 buildings, which isn't terrible. We also have these houses here and this house here. You know what? We could destroy 1 house and place a park there instead. Gives this a little bit of park coverage, not a ton. Does give you this little terraced area to walk along. You can sit in this area while you're waiting to go to the food market right across the street. Okay, you know what? I can get into that. Now, we also have this little building here. If we look at our zoning, this building's only taking up this small section. There's still space on either side. So we could approach this one of 2 ways. We could either place right over top of this with the park and only destroy that small building. Or we could delete the building and have 2 other buildings zoned in there. We do have another park there. But I think we're going to turn this into a small park because I want this area to have decent park coverage. And I think that's probably where we're going to leave that section. Okay, over here we do also have this square, which I could get into a park here as well. Would we be able to fit one? Like if I deleted this road and that surface, does this fit perfectly? It does. It's happening. It does. It's going right there. It's across from our clinic. That's perfect. So that area is now built out a little bit. Let's go ahead and think about this highway connection because I think this is going to be a big addition to this area of our city. I'm a fan. I am a fan. People are already using it. That's very exciting. Now, this section here, I don't want any parking, but instead of expanding the sidewalks, what I actually would rather do is I would like to make this a asymmetrical 3-lane in, 2-lane out road. Especially because we're feeding into this roundabout here, which is great. Now we've got another connection. Okay. Now we don't need to have any lights here. We also don't need to have any crosswalks. There's just truly no reason for you to need to slow down in that section. Do we have one of these that has a median divider? No. We've got a few options here, but these are just going to be too big. I don't want all that in this area. So that will have to do as it is. I really wanted to get to building the incinerator today, but we're not yet there in terms of our money. So I think we're going to hold off on the incinerator. We've got a beautiful new highway interchange. I'm going to spend some time where flooding. This building is facing some water damage. Okay, so I think we just figured out what we got to work on. I have a number of these like flow things up here, plus a river. So we have a river and we have streams. So I'm going to remove a few of those. We'll see if that can correct this issue. We are creating just a much higher river, which wasn't really my goal. Is it still going up? I don't know. I will say though, if we look, this bridge was never this low. This was always... We are flooding. We're flooding slowly but surely. Let's go ahead and just give this a switch up here. We can rebuild this now that we have a little bit more going on in this area. There we go. So now that's working just fine. Now the real question is this going to continue to flood? That's what I'm worried about. All right, so we've got a little bit more industrial here. Now that we have that, we can think about doing more industrial in this whole sector. But for now, I think we're going to leave it alone. I will just make sure that's zoned correctly and then remove that guy so we can get a full building there. There we go. And I think that's probably where we're going to leave this part here. We've increased our population by nearly 7,000 people. We've got an entirely new area of our city, Denny's Ridge and Alexandria. Alexandria has 2,000 residents. Wealth is poor at the moment. Denny's Ridge has modest wealth and 1,376 residents. Let's just do a quick little look at some of our new businesses and services and see what's going on. We're at 49% efficiency here for this building. It doesn't have any operating districts, but let's do this. Willow Terrace, modest. Boulder Hill, wretched. Longview, comfortable. We have a poor neighborhood here in Middle Peak. All right, really, Alexandria, Middle Peak. How's Briarwood Downs? They're modest. Elizabeth Crossing is wretched as well. So why don't we have this operate in these kind of collar counties that are neighboring the downtown section of the city? I don't know how that's supposed to work or not. We're going to kind of mess with it as we go. But I think having that kind of focus on these areas could be valuable. How is our enrollment doing at our college, Pinewood Acres College? It's got 2,812 students, which is amazing, with a dropout rate of 6%. I am really interested in kind of working on this area more. For now, it's just been plopped down. We've got the college library. We also have the expansion wings. We could do a football field over here, or we have some soccer fields. So what I think we're going to focus on in the next part, now that we've got a college up and running, our money has stabilized, I want to focus on turning this area into a beautiful college campus, the Pinewood College campus. So that is going to be coming up in our next part. But for now, I'm going to do a little bit of detailing here and there, take care of some of our small parts of our city, and then I will see you guys in the next one.